Hey, so this is a quick snapshot of where I'm at with the 19 temperature sensors I have on my beehive. This is on a single deep, so 9 inches um, beehive with a 3x3 array on top of that deep and a 3x3 array on the bottom of that, as well as an external temperature sensor. So 18 temperature sensors total. Every hour, the array is reporting temperatures in Celsius to a database run by Google as Firebase database. And there was some garbage for the first few, but starting October 22nd, I'm planning to run it through probably March when it warms up again. So right now I have about 900 line items. Each line is a different temperature sensor reading. And I'm curious if you have any feedback or suggestions or ways to represent this better. But right now I'm using kind of this acronym on the column for C through U as top, back, left, top, back, middle, top, back, right. And on the right, you can kind of see how they're arrayed. So on the top plane, so this is above the super, you have a 3x3, and this is orientated from the entrance of the hive, so down where the bees are coming into the hive, on the left of that entrance, to the right of the entrance, and to the back and the front. You can see it's kind of reddish on the right. That's because that's the south sunny side of the beehive. Similarly, on the bottom plane, you have a similar 3x3. And then I'm also showing a vertical slice so that you're taking the middle temperature sensors of the top and the bottom. And in between, you see linear interpolation between those 2 points. So like, 18.5 and 20.5. So halfway in between, you're expecting around a 19.5. Each of these cells is roughly about a square inch. These are typical lengths throughout Hive, 16 inches wide by 20 inches long. So that's why I have, a little bit more numbers interpolating between the vertical from the horizontal. Also showing ambient temperature. This is, like 6 inches outside of the hive. So hopefully it's a single representative of the entire ambient and the timestamp. So I've done some basic coloring, so you can kind of see that it's kind of interesting that the bottom middle sensor seems a bit warmer relative to the others. The top middle is also warm, but it's I'm going to double check. I think I have the temperature measurement allocations correctly defined here, but you can kind of see some of the characteristics in the curve. This is showing all about 900 samples. There were some issues a few days ago where I had some mechanical issues on the temperature sensors. I am trying to use this thermal mass idea of looking at beehives. So you can see some oscillations where this is basically summing up the temperatures above ambient and tracking it through time. So you see the daily iterations as it warms up during the day. And that it's kind of interesting that mass, since I had those problems, is getting a lot lower. And I think the beehive population is dropping a little bit, but just from visuals. But I'm a little concerned that even though I have a lot of beehives right now, the end of the sample of a few days ago is showing that there's not much, quote unquote, thermal mass above ambient. Okay, so I did write this Visual Basic script that will iterate through this, and so with that, I'm going to start it and then end this recording. But again, if you have comments or suggestions, basically my purpose here is to continue this throughout, collecting data throughout March, and then polish this a little bit more and make a more formal video, and hopefully, see if there's more research ideas that might benefit from this, or opportunities, by people or our organizations that might want to have such a temperature array. So I'm going to click the start, and you'll start seeing this. I'm running this on a laptop, so it's a little slower. on a separate tab because otherwise you have some, refresh issues. And it looks like somehow I think I started it on this left side, so that's why it's starting over here. But you can kind of see how it steps through, basically copying the each of the given timestamps measurements and then interpolating all that. And so then you can kind of see, again, crediting the guy in Canada. I'll get his name right sometime. He did some similar interpolations, probably better. But then you can kind of see how the bees, cluster and then change relative to the ambient. The color coding is across the entire array, so I think it has kind of a uniform structure. Again, you see kind of the bottom, middle as being kind of the hot spot with the cool perimeter areas. That's about it. Curious what you think. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.